two knives actuate and cut the product and create a puck or a portion. Think of a smash burger. And then it is transported across the belt over underneath a flattening belt. And you use the flattening belt to control the thickness of the product.
Welcome to MeatsPad, a platform dedicated to sharing breakthrough knowledge that is accessible to the meats industry. On each episode, we will hear from meat specialists and professionals to talk about numerous topics in meat science. This podcast is brought to you by the U.S. Meat Export Federation, the Niche Meat Processor Assistance Network, Ultrasource, the new standard for innovation. Viscofan is a global leader and innovative partner in the food industry who provides solutions for the casing market.
IFA, slaughter and meat processing tools.
Hello, me folks. Welcome back to the MeatsPad podcast. We continue our conversations here at the 83rd edition at AAMP here in Des Moines, Iowa. Now we are back with one of our first, I think one of the first episodes, Derek.
Five, yeah.
Welcome, Derek.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Thanks, Francisco. Appreciate it.
So I think we were talking 2-3 months ago, but we need to sit down again and talk about this topic, which I found a lot of clients, a lot of customers across the U.S. wanting to explore or wanting to change from one technology to another technology. Stock and go deep into texture patty forming machine. Let's talk about that.
A compression style patty where a mold moves in and out of a machine with meat over the top, and meat is compressed into it and then stamped out, or what we'll call a compression style patty, versus kind of the low pressure formed and flattened, or a low pressure patty, which would be more comparable to like a hand patty or a gourmet patty that you might get in upscale restaurants or high-end meat markets.
So why do you think this is becoming a popular technology? Because we didn't see that 5-10 years ago. It's always been there, but now it's becoming more popular. More processors trying to get into the low pressure.
I think we see that because we've also seen an uptick or a rise in small branded beef programs where, a farmer might have, 10 beef a month that they get killed and sell to wholesale or food service accounts, as well as direct to the consumer or farmers markets type situations. And those people want to pride themselves on premium packaging and premium products. So in order to set themselves apart, they're kind of pushing processors towards more premium processes, and the low pressure patty definitely falls into that. And we even see the large processors, the Tysons, the Cargills, the Smithfields, all kicking out low pressure patties in their fresh premium patty line. You'll see them in styrofoam trays and overwrap at all the big retailers. And although they might look like grocery store patties, they're made on low pressure systems and targeted for the fresh case. So
we're talking about some hypotheses, going back to meat science a little bit, and that maybe a good opportunity for some research on evaluating the shelf life differences between one technology and another.
Yep.
But maybe a good research for some of the folks listening that are grad students, maybe a good master's research, right?
Yeah, I think that would be some really fun applied research from comparing different. You could even just refer to as a ground beef as a whole, but specifically on this line, referring to compression style patties and heat rise and fat smear as it relates to shelf life, and compare it to a low pressure patty system. I think it would be fun, and I think a lot of equipment companies would like to see that data, and whether there's difference or not, it's good to have the data.
Please tell us about what is this technology. Describe the vacuum stuffer. Describe the formula line. How that work.
So in our system, we run vein style stuffers. So we would load the hopper with whatever volume of product that the hopper will hold. You can program the stuffer to send your weight, whether it's quarter pound, third pound, half pound, or something different. Stuffer would then portion that out. And in our system, we use cigar-style knives, so 2 knives actuate and cut the product and create a puck or a portion. Think of a smash burger. And then it is transported across the belt underneath a flattening belt. And you use the flattening belt to control the thickness of the product. So not only do we get a lot more versatility in terms of portion weights, diameters, and thicknesses using this system compared to a compression style where we have a set mold that's a set thickness, we get pretty much infinite variability in terms of product weight, thickness, and diameter.
The mission of USMEF is to increase the value and profitability of the U.S. beef, pork, and lamb industries by enhancing demand for their products in export markets through a dynamic partnership of all stakeholders. Simply put, USMEF is putting U.S. meat on the world's table. Since 1883, Ultrasource has been a trusted supplier to the food industry. Ultrasource provides superior kill floor, processing, packaging, and labeling equipment and operational supplies.
And then after we have flattened it to the set thickness, we would actually interleave paper and stack them into whatever desired stack might be. And there's limitations there. Just in terms of how high we can stack them. But typically you'll see into a 1 pound portion. So if we're doing quarter pounders or 4-to-1s, it'd be a stack of 4. If it's third pounders, we would do a stack of 3, half pounders, a 2 stack, and so on.
How much product can you make an hour like this?
That's a great question. There's obviously there's limitations or things that might be choke points. On the basic entry level units, we're kind of looking at the 120 portions a minute. If we change our drive system, and we won't get into too much of the weeds there, and go to a linear drive, we can be doing upwards of 220 portions a minute. So I'm just going to use 100 portions a minute, which isn't going to be pushing the machine at all. We're not going to hopefully see a whole lot of fat smear coming through the system. At 100 portions a minute, we'd be looking at 1,250 pounds an hour on the quarter pounders, all the way up to 2,500 pounds an hour using the half pounders, and that's using a 50-minute production hour. Typically, we'll kind of downgrade or underrate the system, just under deliver or under promise and over deliver. So, 100 portions a minute is pretty easy, and that's kind of marries up to the entry level interleaving and stacking situation. Or line, a lot of those are starting at 100 pieces a minute is where they kind of is their sweet spot. Again, if we were to upgrade that, we could be doing upwards of 300 a minute. So there's a lot of variables. Obviously, you don't want to match up a 300 portion a minute interleaver to a machine that can only run 120 portions a minute. So as you look at systems, obviously try to dial it into what the whole system can do as a whole instead of one piece that goes really fast.
So now tell us, so we have this problem across the meat industry, but also the food industry generally, and in the U.S. about labor shortage. Tell us about how many people do you need to run this system?
So if you're going to run the full system from stuffer to interleaver stacker, I feel really good that you're going to be able to do that with 2 people. One person making sure the hopper's full, running the machine, and just making sure you have vacuum so your portion accuracy is on target. And then one person taking the stacks off the belt of the interleaver and either putting them into roll stock machines or trays or what have you. So I would say 2 could run the former and the interleaving line. If you don't have an interleaver, it actually adds a little bit of labor because you have to manually put paper between each patty and stack them. So you're probably looking at least 3, probably 4, depending on how you're packaging it down the line. Tabletop patty machines typically are pretty low labor because it's one person, but that one person is working pretty hard. So these systems just take a lot of the hard work out of it, as well as, speed you up and give you a premium product.
Well, I think we're getting to the end of this episode. I think this is a great conversation, because I'm sure a lot of folks are either thinking about getting it or they just got one, and there's a bunch of information that you talked today that can be of benefit to them. Any last thoughts to wrap up this podcast?
Nope. Just kind of driving home the flexibility of the unit in terms of portion weights and product sizes, all the way down to 2-ounce sliders, all the way up to a 2-pound burger patty if you want.
Well, thank you a lot, Derek. For some of you folks listening and watching this video, what's your email so they can contact you in case they have any questions, or just www.ultrasource.com. You can have a bunch of information there.
Yep.
They can,
and you can email me directly at derek.schroeder@ultrasourceusa.com.
All right. Well, thank you a lot, and
thanks for having me back.
Yeah.